Welcome to The Graft, the podcast where we talk to movers and shakers in the dental bone grafting industry about career, life, and everything in between.
Hey everybody, welcome to The Graft. I'm Blake Paucom, Director of Sales here at Osteogenics. I'm joined by Shane Shuttlesworth, the President of Osteogenics.
Hey guys, happy to be here. Also, congratulations on your new title, Director of Sales. I think it's like 2 or 3 days old. The paint's not dry on the business card yet.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Really appreciate it. Today we're joined by two really special guests, Dr. Matthew Fien and Dr. Israel Puterman. Dr. Fien is a periodontist in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, specializing in implants, bone grafting, soft tissue grafts, etc. Dr. Puterman is a periodontist in Chevy Chase, Maryland, a suburb there in Washington, D.C., also a periodontist, also specializing in implants, soft tissue, and hard tissue grafting. Thanks for coming on the show with us today, guys.
Hey guys, appreciate your time.
It's great to be here. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Shane, congrats. I didn't know. Blake, congrats. We didn't know about this. Sounds like a big promotion.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Appreciate it. It's very exciting news, obviously, in the Paucom household, so I appreciate that.
Just to let Israel know, I knew about it.
I did not. I was not.
We did go ahead and let Dr. Fien know about it.
I mean, Shane.
Yeah.
I was surprised because Shane asked me and I said that shouldn't happen, but that's why I was.
Yeah, I ran a few candidates by him, and you weren't his first choice. But hey, guys, I know we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things that you guys have got going on now. But one thing I'm interested in is how long have you guys known each other?
Ooh, I don't know. Time flies. I feel like we started our friendship. I would want to say maybe 2016-ish. Israel, what do you think?
Yeah, somewhere around then. It's funny. I actually. We had communicated a little bit back and forth. And I think I remember one of the first times that we did, I was in my kid's barber shop. And I remember sitting there and my wife was sitting next to me and she's like, who are you texting? I'm like, some guy down in Florida. I don't really know him. And she gave me that look that, wives give. And
she thought
she's like,
yeah, exactly. Like, sure, you're texting another dude.
I'm a dentist. I'm like, well, he's a periodontist, so it's okay. Right.
It sounds like the State Farm commercials where they're like, who are you talking to?
Yeah. Oh, no, it's a periodontist.
He's wearing
it's okay.
khakis.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we were the only two periodontists on Instagram at that point. So, there was only a few people for us to befriend at that point.
So is that how you guys met?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is.
We were always commenting, on each other's cases and asking each other questions. And it just sort of bloomed from there. The rest was history.
So did one of you slide into the other's DMs or who?
I swung on Israel pretty hard. I mean, I used to always, I was trying to get his attention,
Attention received or gotten.
Back up a little bit. Jeez. Let me have a breath.
First time we actually met in person was probably a few months of, communicating. And this was at the When the Pictures Really Matters course in Long Island at Adamo's office. And that was the first time we actually met.
But we had already actually had a course lined up to do a couple months later. So it was definitely a relief when we kind of met each other and got that.
So y'all hadn't even met and you had planned to teach a course together?
You have to meet for a course?
No, you just do these things. They kind of come together naturally.
That's kind of wild. Yeah.
Yeah, no. So it was definitely a relief when we finally got together. We had a great meal. We both, realized that we both enjoy, eating well and drinking well, and we bonded over some drinks. And we're like, all right, this is probably going to work. So definitely could have went sideways for sure.
Yeah. How bad would that have been had we met each other and go, geez, I can't stand this guy.
And I'm really bad at breakups, so.
Man, he's great on the internet, but when you see him in person, he's an asshole.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I want to come back to the social media and the core stuff here in a little bit, but I know one thing is Blake and I were, spent the 3 to 4 minutes prepping for this,
Thank you
for this podcast.
Or 5 hours.
One of the things that I think is interesting is and I know there's like a lot of COVID fatigue right now, but just the COVID recovery. So 2021 is an interesting topic for, it's interesting to me, because we've talked to anecdotally to a lot of customers who are like having the best year of their practice. I've talked to people who are like, they want to hire other associates, but based on the volume, is it going to continue into 2022? And so, but at the same, and also we Osteogenics just completed, like we just finished our best year in the history of the company. And so, following 2020, where, there was a lot of uncertainty and things were definitely down, like 2021 recovered a lot faster. And I think similar is true for a lot of our customers. And I've got right here, like, so the ADA puts out, I don't know if you guys follow any of this stuff, but they were putting out from the Health Policy Institute, like every week, updated reports on the recovery of the dental sector. And so this is something that we followed as just trying to see how the dental world is doing. And the last report I can find is December 13th. I don't know if they quit doing it or if this was just like the last one I could find. But as of December 13th, 2021, like within periodontists, since you guys are both periodontists, I'm just focusing on that, like 55.8% say open and business as usual. So, I mean, that's like only 56%. About 40% were saying that they're open, but their patient volume was lower. And almost 5% were saying they're still not open. So it's sort of crazy to me, like how well Osteogenics did, because periodontists are a big part of our customer base. And in some of these conversations where our customers are like, hey man, like, yeah, I'm slammed. But obviously, clearly some aren't. So, maybe you guys could just speak a little bit to like, what are you seeing and what do you expect?
I mean, I think it's a little bit location based, and there's certainly been times, I think the first couple of weeks in January were really tough. I think we go through those lulls where people kind of get scared to come in, but overall, and I know Israel has the same experience. I mean, we've been pretty busy. I think my practice changed a little bit. The COVID shutdown kind of gave me the opportunity to step back and say, let me focus on the things that I really want to do more of in the practice and build out that aspect of my practice more. But I think in general, we've all been very busy. I mean, the thing about dentistry, people that stay away, eventually you're going to have to come in and the problems are actually a lot worse in some of those cases. So I think all of us have talked about this like cracked tooth phenomenon where everybody's coming in with, broken teeth. And I'm still seeing it to this day, more cracked teeth and immediate, implant cases than I've probably ever done.
What do you think this is the first I've heard of the cracked tooth phenomenon. Like
I think
what is that about?
Stressed out, people are grinding. They're, everybody's mood is just a little bit off, and people are depressed and uncertain.
That's so interesting.
And we're just seeing a lot of people with broken teeth. And I think also people stayed away for about a year and a half. So a lot of people have, maybe decay in their mouth that wasn't treated and old fillings and crowns that needed to be replaced. And I think it came back pretty strong. I think I had a pretty, average year, but we took off 3 months or so, whatever that we took off in that 2020. And we've been busy. And I know Israel, I was at his office a couple months ago. You seem pretty busy up there, Israel.
Yeah. So I think that you're right in that there's a lot more broken teeth. I completely agree. We noticed, one of the first things we noticed is that the cases all seem to be a lot more complex. It wasn't just broken tooth extraction graft or extraction immediate implant type of thing. It was the 3 teeth, massive bone loss, needs major reconstruction. The case complexity really seemed to increase. And, I'm exactly the same as Matt. Like, although, we were really booked out like mad, and we still are, but, if you're asking the best month or best year ever, like 2021 was not financially my best year ever, because, before COVID, we used to work through lunch. And during COVID, I decided no more. Like, we can't do that anymore. We actually reduced our hours. So I knew that we needed some mental health, breakup of the full day of just going slammed all day long. And you need that mental break. And we've kept on that. Sometimes people sneak into lunch because you got to see these people. But, we're booked out for a couple of months. and we're still taking that break, and we see fewer patients per week. We see fewer patients per day. And, it's not the best thing financially, but it's the best thing for mental health. And COVID really
makes sense.
Sort of created that little bug in your head that, hey, we need to take a step back sometimes. And it doesn't have to be run at, on all 8 cylinders all the time.
Yeah. I like
just a little change in perspective for sure.
The case complexity thing, just circling back to that right quick. Do you think that's because people weren't going to see their dentist or their periodontist for a period of time, and so periodontal disease escalated to where now they've got a more serious condition to treat?
Yeah, for sure. I think that they were, people in general, if you're not hurting, you're going to push it off. So I think people that were given treatment plans towards the end of 2019 that put it off, all of a sudden they put it off for 2 years. And I think that the people who, maybe during COVID had some discomfort, something was bothering them, they didn't run to the office, they waited. And then towards the end of 2020 into 2021, that's when they finally started to come back. And by then it was just way worse than had they come in earlier.
Yeah. And we're still seeing those patients sort of straggle in, people that we've consulted with, in 2019, like you were saying, showing up and being like, oh, I remember this guy. Whatever happened to him? Because there are a small group of patients that are still worried about coming in, I think now we've sort of proved that, the dentist office is probably one of the safest places to be. I haven't heard of really any outbreaks in any offices, but of course, I think we, like Israel, my practice did the same thing. We take a longer lunch break. We actually finish earlier in the day. I love it. I'm never going back. I think we were overworking for no reason. And I think
right now we see patients until 3 p.m. That's it.
Yeah.
We finish earlier than we used to.
In terms of practice challenges, I know inflation is like something that we're like supply chain and inflation is something that at Osteogenics that we're dealing with and talking about on a daily basis right now. So, for example, all of our suppliers, it's like towards the end of Q4 2021, we're getting letters from almost every supplier about what their price increase is going to be. So we're working to try to negotiate that down, see where we have leverage, see where there's alternate suppliers, also seeing where we can like create more efficiencies in our production processes. So we're trying to fight that, but at the same time, for some products, we had to pass that along to our customers. I can just imagine that in December, you guys are getting like letter after letter for the companies that are courteous enough to give you a notice of the price increase. We see it everywhere. And from that same Health Policy Institute ADA report from December 13th, I printed off here. They for periodontists, they talked about the what measures that they were taking to maintain financial sustainability of your dental practice. Periodontists said it was like the highest thing. Raising fees was like 24%. Is that something that you guys, and they weren't raising their fees 24%. 24% of them were raising their fees is the way I'm reading this. So is that, honestly, I kind of thought the number would be higher because I imagine everyone's costs are going up. Like, can you speak a little bit to what you've seen and how you're handling it and how those patient conversations are going?
I got to tell you, I order all my own materials, but I don't do a very good job of checking. So I'm going to go back and look at my Osteogenics statements and figure out where you guys are screwing me.
Oh no, we're taking good care of you. Don't worry.
But no, I think it's always smart to track that stuff. That's obviously the easiest way to be more profitable is to lower your expenses. But at the same time, you want to use quality products and products you believe in. So to me, I think charging the patient is really the only way around that. If the cost of a membrane goes up and you want to increase your fee and you can do that, I'd rather do that than sacrifice, using products that I'm really comfortable with. I don't think I've actually raised my fees, but again, I really haven't looked to see a major increase. Israel, you can speak to that too.
Yeah, we definitely saw big increases. A lot of the PPE was just insane. Down to the gloves for so long. I of course have my favorite gloves, I have my favorite everything, and we couldn't get our gloves, and so I would just use any gloves that were size medium that we can find, and the gloves were like 4 times what our normal gloves cost. I know a lot of people had this PPE fee that they passed along to patients. We never did that. We thought that was just, I don't know, a little odd, a little nickel and diming. It's the cost of doing business. But I can understand if somebody has lower fees, it's really tough to absorb some of these costs, some of these increases. There's no question. I felt that we were lucky in that, with our fees, we could sustain that. But there's no question that recently I did raise some fees. And this is now 2 years into the pandemic, and a lot of our costs have gone up. Obviously, your costs have gone up. You've had to increase the cost of certain things. Every company has. And eventually, these things have to get passed along. That's just how the market works. But that was really only very, very recent after 2 years of staying the same.
Yeah. Do you find that the patient acceptance, I mean, because I know, like, if I go get some, like when I leave here tonight, I'm going to go get some drive-through something, like it's going to cost 20% more than it did 2 years ago, like food-wise. I mean, it's like everything we see prices going up. Like, are patients pretty much understanding of that, or is that affecting patient acceptance at all?
I've seen both. I've seen some who flat out right away say, yeah, I mean, everything costs more. My groceries cost more. There's no question. And then there's some who are not so happy about it. They, I remember when we increased our hygiene fee recently, we had a patient right away email that they can't believe, considering the circumstances that everyone's going through, that we would raise our fees. It's almost like we're punishing them. And of course we're not punishing them. But in reality, we sent that email to, I don't know how many hundreds or, a couple thousand patients. And we got 4 people complain. Those are the 4 that stick in our head. And that's what we talk about. But everybody else has been very understanding. So I think for the most part, it's always a squeaky wheel that, gets all the attention.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I'd like to transition back to the Instagram social media thing. My first question is, are you guys mainly or only Instagram, or are you also, you do anything with Facebook or LinkedIn? Or
I'm famous on TikTok.
What's Instagram?
Yeah, TikTok.
Let us see a little of that TikTok, maybe some sound effects, etc.
It's become very, challenging to come up with new content for Instagram. I know me and Israel talk about this all the time. I mean, we went through phases, both of us, where we were just constantly posting, and it was sort of like just really building up a lot of steam, and we were all had a great time with it. We post once in a while on Facebook and other things, but we've kind of, the feel of Instagram, I find, is different than any of the other social media platforms. I think, there's this family and this community feel of like-minded people that were ambitious and wanted to learn new procedures and wanted to learn from their colleagues. And that was something that I didn't see on the other social media, any of the other social media.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we've seen similar.
Yeah. So for me, I mean, I loved Instagram for that reason, and we've stuck with it pretty hard. And it's really been an amazing ride. I know we always talk about, I keep telling Israel, if he would just throw some of his scope videos onto YouTube, he would be a YouTube star. And I'd even quit my job and do that for you, Israel. Just send me the videos. I'll put them up for us.
Done.
And then we'll get one of those gold record labels that we'll, million viewers. I'm telling you, we can do it.
Well, my 12-year-old was just telling me before that, there's an 18-year-old high schooler who makes how many millions on YouTube, and he should do the same. So maybe you're right. Maybe we can do the same.
Will Matt work commission-based, or does he require like an upfront salary? I think that's really going to be
I think commission-based is appropriate.
Fair.
Commission-based, yeah, perfect.
He'll have me clock in. And then we'll just, see how much time I'm actually spending on this. No, but there's so many new things, and I think there will be even more, new platforms that come out. Like I kind of joke around about TikTok. I remember when the pandemic first started, my wife was like, "Oh, you should be posting on TikTok." She kind of got really into TikTok. It was like all day long she was watching TikTok videos.
Yeah.
And I went.
She's actually more popular than you on TikTok. Is that true?
She's, very popular on TikTok.
Little known fact, but should be known.
And now she rubs it in my face. And whenever I'm like, oh, come on, let's watch TV or let's watch a movie. And she's busy. And she's like, now you know how I felt for 4 years. So she's getting her revenge on me.
So this is payback.
Perfect.
What was so interesting is when I would post on TikTok, I didn't really do a lot of research into what was going on there. So I would post the same sort of things that I was posting on Instagram, on TikTok. And I was getting millions of views, but like 5 likes. So it was just too much for me, and I haven't done it in a while. But
Tell us about those millions of views.
I don't know how it works, to be honest with you, because if you post something and either
A lot of people in
China
China
doesn't.
Yeah, it just keeps getting
Yeah, I'm
fed to every.
surprised you would get 1 million views and 5 likes. That's got to be like
That's crazy.
I may have exaggerated a little bit.
A case study.
I did have a couple videos that got up to like 5 or 10 million views, and really it was like 150 likes out of those 10 million views. And I was like, wow. People are just disgusted by me. And so I held off.
Well, I want you to know. I want you to know, Matt, I'm coming after you. We have a new TikTok channel, Implants DC TikTok channel. And I want the world to know.
You heard it here first.
Sorry?
You heard it here first.
I heard it here first. I want the world to know we are up to, I think, 4 followers. So
I took TikTok off of my phone because all I was getting was my wife's videos. So she's probably not going to listen to this, so it's okay for me to say that. But yeah, I had to take it off my phone. Maybe I'll put it back on so I can be your fifth
She's
ball.
a star. You should be watching it.
I know your wife likes to watch it.
That's like her morning news.
So speaking of these kind of minimal followers, we've done some research into the history of you guys' Instagram accounts.
Yeah. So this is something that's been interesting to me. Like right now, Dr. Fien has 37,900 followers. Dr. Puterman has 37,600 followers.
I noticed that.
So
meanwhile,
yeah. Okay. Well, we also have a wonder about that.
I literally just looked today, and I know I
really
haven't
glad you brought
posted
this
in a
up.
while. I haven't been posting the last few months. But what is up? How did you pass me? And now,
no, I did look like a month ago. Israel was up.
Okay,
but it's flip flopped.
The
money can buy followers. You know,
this is what drives me.
These are bots.
It's the bots. Yes, the bots.
This is what drives me. So, every time me and Israel get together for a conference, he'll make a comment like, hey, like I'm catching up, or vice versa. And then I go on an onslaught and I'll just post like 5 days in a row.
And I'll post once a month.
Truth be told, that's another reason why I think we got along so well from the beginning. We really started at the same time. It was definitely a lot easier to grow, and we didn't know what we were growing at the time. We were just posting, and people were following and liking us. But it's hard to get followers nowadays. It really is. I mean, we post bloody content, first of all, so you have to be a very unique individual to want to go out of your way to look at bloody surgical photos. And so sometimes I kind of wish I was like a orthodontist or a restorative dentist, and I can just show like pretty before and afters. But this is what we do. So at least people know what they're getting themselves into. I had a patient today actually tell me, oh, I saw your Instagram page. And right away, my eyes rolled back to the back of my head. I'm like, oh God, I hope she didn't, get scared. Because sometimes they'll get like scared away. So, both of us really don't, promote our Instagram to our patients because, they want to see something and they find it, that's fine. But at the same time, it's really more educational content than anything.
Yeah. For other surgeons, other doctors to see, not necessarily your patient base.
I had a patient today who I did a virtual consult for, and I'm doing a bunch of those. She asked me if it's being recorded. And I said, yes, it is being recorded. And she goes, this is not going to go on social media or anything, right? Like, no, our consult is not going on social media.
That's hilarious.
So, I was interested in like how this came to be, talking about the numbers. So today, Blake and I went back through like, what was your first post and what was the date? So for Israel, like your first post was July 23rd, 2016.
Wow. 5 years.
And you posted, it was a picture of you and your staff, and you got, I think, a generous 15 likes for that.
Nice.
15 whole ones.
But I mean, when you think about it, like you probably had 0 followers at the time. So these are like people that have gone back through all your old stuff and liked it. So
the retro post.
But and then by December of 2017, so a year and 5 months later, it's like 391 likes. Like the photography, in our opinion, had clearly like gotten a lot better. And so, we know from our, like when I see 391 likes, like if we get over 200 likes for one of our posts and we have just shy of maybe 7,000 followers,
right?
Like 200 likes is a home run for us.
Ring a bell at the office.
Compared to the other. Yeah, I mean, like we're high-fiving each other in the break room. So just knowing like you're getting close to 400 likes, like
People are getting promotions. It's great.
So,
I mean,
so soon after, clearly something had escalated. Then I looked at Matt's account and it was like, it started just a little bit after yours. So you started July of 16. He started December of 16. His first post was a clinical case, got 21 likes. And by the same period, like December 2017, his post, I think on the same day, like December 7th, like he had 315 likes. So both of you had like ramped up really quickly. So I'm interested, like, at what point did this become something, and I think about our experience with our account. You're trying different things. You're not really sure what's going to work. You're having lots of discussions. I mean, our first post on our account were like pictures of us at our booth, maybe with a doctor, and it was like the audience was not impressed.
Yeah, it's a snooze fest, turns out.
So you try other things, but we had a very like commercial interest in growing our following and getting those interactions and that sort of thing. Is that how you guys started, or did it sort of escalate and then you're like, hey, there's something here? I'm just interested in the evolution of that.
It was truly organic at first. And it's still, I mean, we still do try to keep it as organic as possible, but I think because there was no, real reason to post other than just to, share our work. First of all, me and Israel have had the same discussion. Like, we both have been taking photos for a very long time, and sure, our photos have improved, and definitely like being on Instagram has inspired us to get better with photography and all of that. But at the same time, there was no real incentive to post at first other than just, hey, this is a cool case. And if I don't show this on Instagram, no one's ever going to see it. These thousands and thousands of photos. And for me, I was taking photos because I was learning from my own work. That's how, and I always do this in our lectures, talk about how you want to get better. Yeah, go see, some of these best people in the world lecture, and you'll definitely pick up pearls. But if you really want to get better, analyze your own work. Self-reflection to me is how I definitely have been improving. And I think if you go look at my early posts on Instagram, I was using an iPhone. I used to use a full frame camera, and then I got away from it, and I was using an iPhone for a while. And then you get guys like Israel stepped up his photo game, and it sort of was like, oh, well, if I gotta, play in his yard, I gotta, get a better camera. But it was a game changer because you start to kind of feel for what people like about what you're posting. I mean, I was doing that suturing stabilization for a while, and I never really thought anything of it. And then once people started like commenting and saying, oh, how do you do that? Well, then I was kind of motivated to post more of that stuff. And for me, that's where I was building. Israel is like the jack of all trades. I mean, does amazing surgeries. The follow-up he shows at the courses, I always joke around. It's like he sends me his cases for me to insert into the presentation. And by the time I'm done reviewing his cases, I want to quit and like find another profession because of, just how thorough he is with everything. So, and he jokes, that he says the same thing about me, but I know he's just BSing.
Right. Exactly. I mean, obviously Matt can't do anything. Matt taught me how to do this rib roast, and it's funny. We always talk about how we blend into each other, and there's no question about it. Everything Matt does, I just try to copy, and somewhat vice versa. But it really is just, we always took these pictures, and I didn't know what to do with them. They always were on my hard drive, and now and then I'd send them to some referrals based on their specific case. But 95% of them would just sit there, and so just started to post and post and post, and it starts off as just a community in the background, and then I started to notice that if I post canine exposures, that all of a sudden some orthodontists would be like, hey, I didn't know you do canine exposures. And they would start referring the canine exposures. And so you start to realize that there are people watching who you didn't really realize were watching, or now and then you speak to a referral and they're like, oh, that was an amazing case that you posted. I saw that. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that you're even on Instagram. And that's amazing because that's marketing without even thinking about it. And there's a lot of that going on. And, those are things that have come up that have sprung out of it, but it really was not the intent at all. It was literally just I have all these pictures, and why not just post them for somebody to see?
So share it, hold yourself accountable a little bit. It seems like you guys are feeding off each other and improving, sort of iron sharpens iron sort of approach. But it also sounds like there's like little opportunities as you're doing this that are like coming along from it. So you're starting to see that this is like generally a positive. Is that?
Oh yeah. I mean, patients, the first thing they do when they refer to you is they Google you, and they see, still to this day, they see the Instagram accounts, and to them having a lot of followers means, you must be decent. It doesn't matter what their dentist said. It matters what Instagram says. And, it obviously doesn't, but it's still nice to show. I personally wish that we showed more complications, but there are aspects to that make it tough also. Because not everything
is that the patient aspect, because you've got other dentists and other surgeons, other periodontists, oral surgeons, whoever follow your account, but then you also have patients. So is the complication part, is it that it would be great for the clinician group, but not great for the patient group? Or is it not
Personally,
that simple?
I think both. I think both need to see it. Referrals need to know, and dentists in general need to know that complications do happen. And patients do also. I tell every patient that I see, implants are about 95% successful. That sounds amazing. I mean, I could repeat this 100 times. Sounds amazing, but that really means 1 out of every 20. I do several hundred a year. You do the math on how many of mine fail. And, every patient I say that to. And I'm like, if anybody tells you their implants don't fail, you get up and you walk out of that office.
Yeah.
But you look at Instagram and everything is successful. And
I think you're right though. But it does take, it takes a lot, especially in the beginning, just to even work up the courage to start posting. Because you are, all of us, no one really likes to be judged. And I can look at any one of my surgeries and find 5 different things, like literally every single one of my surgeries I've ever done. I can find things that I would do differently when you blow it up on a big screen and start analyzing every little detail. And a lot of the times still things work out okay. But other times, you can be very critical of your own work, and, you don't want to take it too far. And, I think posting online complications could be a medical legal issue. I think it's in some respects, I think I'm afraid of that a little bit. And, I think it's obvious that we all get them. And I think Israel's right. We all should sort of do more of that. We should make like a month where we just do failure month and just post failures. I always joke around, like I use the same camera to take, obviously all my photos. And whenever I have these complications that I'm taking the photos, like they come out blurry and there's saliva everywhere. And it's just like, it's a reflection of the emotions that are going through your own self when these complications happen. And a patient's, if they're having pain and you're sitting there trying to take a photo and they just like want you to get them numb and get them out of the office and get them out of pain. That's a challenging thing about doing complications also.
Makes sense.
Sure. So I'm going to kind of switch us here a little bit, talk about the courses. So you guys, at some point you've got these Instagram accounts going, things are going well, your photos improve, you start seeing more followers, etc. Then the courses come along. Walk us through how that whole thing kind of came about.
Like why do the courses? What was the motivation?
Because we were getting asked the same questions, and the same people are asking us the same questions. And so we finally said, well, wouldn't it be cool if we put on a course and taught some people how to do this? And Matt did the first one, and he can tell you about that got good interest. And then a couple months later, we put one on together, and, it sold out in a week. And we're like, wow, that actually sold out in a week. And then, a few months later, we put on another one, sells out in 3 days, and we're doing backflips, and eventually it sells out in 4 minutes. And people are posting on Instagram saying like, hey, don't go to the bathroom when these things go on sale because you'll miss it.
That's so awesome. Yeah, that was part of what Blake was explaining to me, because it's like, like we're like, why are these guys going to come talk to us? We're like, well, one of the things we can do is help promote their courses. But it's like, well, do they need promotion?
Sounds like they don't need any help.
My understanding is there's like people they're just waiting for the next, like almost like rock stars waiting for the next calendar to come out so they can get tickets. Is it like, are you guys doing as many courses a year as you want, or like what's the
I think
What's the plan
the
there?
challenge for both of us is, first of all, I think we both love teaching. I mean, I remember looking up at Israel after our first course, and we just both like gave each other like a nice nod, like, yeah, this is great. I mean, I've always loved teaching, and I was noticing, and I think I'm sure you guys all notice this also. Obviously, there's a lot of specialists out there that are doing surgery, a lot of general dentists out there that are doing surgery. They're taking CE courses from implant companies specifically. They're learning how to place implants, but in reality, that's only half the battle. And I think we all know that. And so I was seeing a lot of people doing things that to me was more aggressive, or they were showing cases without really showing follow-up. And so when people started asking me, hey, how are you getting this result? I was like, I wanted to share. I kind of like liken it to when you see a good movie and you want people to kind of see the same movie just so you can kind of talk about it type of thing and get on the same page. And like Israel said, we were both getting messages. And I remember I was having a conversation with my wife, and she was like, well, people are asking you to teach a course. Why not just teach a course? And I was like, okay, well, just put up a post and see if anybody signs up. And within a day or two, we had like 7 or 8 people signed up for a course that was, I don't know, 2 months after that. And I had no content other than just, 30,000 photos in my phone. And we closed the registration, and I was like, let's just do a small little course, and I'll put together the syllabus basically, and we'll go from there. And during that time, obviously me and Israel were still communicating online. And I said to him, hey, I got 7 people that signed up, but there's so much material. There's so much content. There's so many things that you do better than me. For instance, Israel taught me I was using screws and tacks, but very poorly. And, watching him do the sausage technique and using tacks and screws with, titanium reinforced PTFE, I just didn't know how he was doing it so cleanly. And truth be told, I wanted to team up with somebody that could be sort of like a mentor, and look, we have a mutual relationship, but certainly there's things that I like learned from him right away. And I kind of steal his thunder a little bit, because a lot of the time during the course, I'll lecture first. And a lot of the little pearls,
no, for real.
I just like jam out all those pearls that
he like gives out my jokes. He gives out everything. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
it's not just
if you're the first one to present, you get that right. Yeah.
No, but so we kind of got on the same page and said, okay, let's put together this course. Once we knew that people really did want to sign up, and then my wife was actually very instrumental, because we're both wet finger dentists. We're working in the office, 4 or 5 days a week. And it was impossible to keep track of all of this. And she really helped to, get us to start Surgical Influence from the standpoint of, okay, people want to come to these courses, you got to pick some dates. And that's what happened. We only do about 4 to 6 courses a year, and we keep the courses very small, because that was the beauty of the initial courses, was that they were so small that we could stand on top of people and watch them, do a periosteo release, and watch how they're holding their periosteo elevator to reflect the flap. And we didn't want to lose that. So we kept it small. And we always are very honest when people come to our courses, when we want feedback that's going to make us better. And we've always tried to take that feedback and make changes for the next courses and the upcoming courses. So, we're always doing that. And I think, people appreciate that. Maybe on Instagram, we don't show our complications, but man, Israel videos everything. So
I've got a ton of complications. So I'm the one who's able.
I knew that's where we were headed with this. Yeah.
No,
Talk about all the complications.
We do try to share with them the complications, because that's really the biggest challenge here is yes, not everything works out. It's all patient management, how to select the right patient for the right surgery, and then knowing how to handle these complications, but more importantly, how to minimize complications and do things that are as predictable as possible. And nobody is perfect. That's for sure.
Yeah. I like that.
So for the guy that's on Instagram, he's been seeing these courses, but he's an outsider looking in. What's one tip that could be used to get into one of these highly popular courses that you guys put on?
Slide into Israel's DM. And
okay, yeah, direct DM.
Yes,
yeah.
just my cell phone.
It's a great
just
topic.
Call my cell phone.
Slide into
Can we get the cell phone number?
And then he'll slide into my DM, and then I'll slide into my wife's DM,
Right.
and then we'll eventually get you in. No, the truth is we do have a wait list, and the beautiful thing about that is neither of us really want to be promoting a course 3 times a week. We didn't really want our Instagram accounts to sort of change, So we created this wait list so that people can go on there. And when we have courses available, we send the emails out to the wait list. So I think you can still get to the wait list through either surgicalinfluence.com.
It's surgicalinfluence.com. That's the best.
So online surgicalinfluence.com. What if they DM the Surgical Influence Instagram account? Is that also a viable way, or is it better just to go online?
So what we do is, like Matt said, we have this email list that rather than just have the course open, we announce when it is open so that, people know not to go to the bathroom and whatnot, as silly as that sounds. So we'll say, like, the tickets are going to go on sale on Saturday at noon for the upcoming course on whatever date. And then they go on at noon. And so everybody has an ability to prepare for it. We're constantly asked about, I don't want to sound like, we're just bombarded, and we definitely appreciate the interest in the courses, and we really do try to keep it small. We could open it up to way more people than we do, obviously, and we don't, because we want the small groups, we want the one-on-one feedback, we want the one-on-one teaching. But if you get on that email list, then you get an email saying that when a course is going to be announced, and then just register right away, and you get in. There's no question.
Perfect.
So one other thing about the courses. So Shane and I, in our preparation for this call, we're talking about, you guys' courses in particular. So he's asking me what's different about their course than all the other courses that you've been to, and just so people know, I travel.
Yeah, Blake's seen everyone's work.
I go all over the world, literally, to these courses. So one thing that I think that I see, and Shane and I are this way, obviously the listeners have seen that you guys are this way, but the competitive nature. So even in the hands-on workshop that you guys are putting on, there's always a competition. Who can do the most sutures in the least amount of time, et cetera. So is this competitive nature, is it something that you guys are pushing into the course, or how did that come about?
Is it intentional, or is it just a byproduct of your personalities that you couldn't keep out if you wanted to?
I never really looked at it as competitive. It's just fun. We really don't, we're not competitive with each other. We joke about, the followers and whatnot, and I'll be back up in no time. But
I'm not competitive, but I'm
right. But we joke about that stuff. But we're two very non-competitive people, to be honest. We are very self-deprecating. We know where we stand. We know that the other one is better at certain things than others. And we look at that even amongst the attendees. There are going to be some people better at one thing, some people better at another thing. But we just like the fun involved with it. And Matt's pretty creative and comes up with certain contests. And I might come up with a contest, and we say, okay, contests are fun. It gets people going.
Yeah, I think we both taken a lot of CE. I personally, though, really didn't ever take. I did a perio residency, so I wasn't, the first in line to start taking a lot of other hands-on courses. And so I was really shooting from the hip. And Israel, said, I'm creative. We shoot ideas off each other, and we've had a lot of ideas that we've tried and said, this wasn't really great. But the whole idea of it was so that people would come to a course and be entertained, and not feel like, they're sitting listening to, two middle-aged guys lecture to them for a day and a half. So, we do things like a suture challenge, and it turns out neither Israel or myself are the best suturers in the room. His dental assistant, his surgical assistant blows everybody out of the water.
Every single course she does.
So now she's like,
really?
Shout out to Gail.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure we get that. Gail is her name. Yep, she's awesome.
Me and Israel
also a fantastic ordering assistant.
Head once.
This was awesome.
Midway through, I cut my finger. And I'm trying to suture, which I've never done in real life, but of course.
So
I love this story.
No competition between
them.
them.
That did leave one winner who is non-bleeding. Just for the record.
So Gail is undefeated.
No. That was me.
That was
his. So he's not competitive, but it is important that he knows the facts.
It's important that everybody
who was. Yeah.
I want to say.
I know
with the courses. Our commercial sponsors. You guys have been amazing. We like to try to, we want people to try the materials that we use. And we've always said that from the beginning. All the sponsors that we have are companies that we've worked with before we were, teaching courses. These are products that we used in our own, storage cabinets and we pulled out to use for stuff. So You guys knew that from the beginning. You know, it wasn't like you guys begging us to try to get in. It was just, we were using your sutures, we were using your membranes. And so that was really, natural for us. You know, that made it very organic. And you guys know we do like a raffle at the end of the courses where people that answer questions get tickets, things like that. I think people enjoy that because it gives them reason to, participate throughout the course, and I think it's worked out.
Yeah. Well, hey guys, I think this has been great. I appreciate all the information. And I know that we have our symposium coming up where you guys are doing a hands-on workshop. I think we're going to have 100 doctors in there doing some of these different competitions.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's going to be a fun thing. I don't know if you guys have ever done it with had 100 people in one of these, but it'll be new for us too. So
it's a happy hour.
Yeah, well,
happy hour workshop.
It's going to be great.
It'll be fun. And especially like Blake says, happy hour and sutures. Nothing can go wrong.
No blood.
Bring some Band-Aids.
That's right.
There will be blood.
Well, hey, appreciate your time. I think what you guys are doing on Instagram is awesome. Go to surgicalinfluence.com to sign up for the wait list. Follow Surgical Influence online as well as Fien Odontics and Implants DC. And appreciate what you guys are doing and appreciate the collaboration.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.